Hello, I'm Dr. Janae Walker, and it's a pleasure to be with you again. Today, we're going to talk about the concept of flow. And the question I ask my patients often as I'm walking them down the hall to my office, I say, "Hi, how are you?" And it says, "How was your flow?" And I get a lot of responses. Some look at me like, are you kidding me?" Some of them say, "I am not flowing." Some say, "I'm doing okay." Others say, "I'm flowing backwards." And some say, "I'm just plain stuck." Well, sometimes we all feel that way, myself included, and we all go through transitions and changes in our life. And I recently went through a transition and change as my last child finished school, and I said, "Hallelujah, amen." But I was really amazed as I look back after her finishing school and the other three pushing through and finishing, how I looked back and realized that in some ways I used them as an excuse to keep me from fulfilling some of my own personal goals. I have found avoidance, procrastination, and simply finding other things to do for other people can often give us a reason not to move towards our own personal goals. And so today I want to talk to you and ask you the question I ask myself often: how is your flow? You know, transitions and changes in our lives, seasons, kids growing up, we move to a new location, family members pass away, relationships start, relationships end, health issues, financial issues, all can interrupt our flow. And so today I want you to stop and pause for a moment, and I want to give you a question, actually three questions that I ask myself that have changed the outcome of my life each and every day. And here are the three questions. I'll begin with a story. During a season of transition and change, when my mother passed away, it was absolutely one of the lowest periods of my life. And I remember getting on the plane, and my brother said she was near death, and I was trying to get to the hospital, and I was calling from the delay stop in Charlotte, calling to see how my mother was doing, and I could hear them coding her on the phone, and my heart just dropped. And I said, "Lord, please, I need to get there before my mother passes away." And when I got off the plane, my heart really dropped when I saw both my brothers, and I knew it was too late. I had missed seeing my mother by about 15 minutes, and my heart was broken. So I flew back to West Virginia the next weekend to gather my family to go back to California to help prepare for a funeral. And I went to this big church saying, "Okay, I'm looking for peace, and I'm sure they're going to give me the answers I need because my heart is so low." And I went to that church, and I sat down, and I looked up, and to my chagrin, it was Youth Day. Now, I have nothing against Youth Day. I love youth. But on that day, I needed depth and breath and something that could help me, just lift me up and carry me through, because I was feeling so low. And to my surprise, that 17-year-old high school student gave the sermon that I never, ever forgot. And to who you are, wherever you are, I thank you. And the name of his sermon was "The Most Important Question You Will Ask Yourself That Will Change Your Life Forever." And I thought, the most important question? I said, what could that be? And when he shared it, the question itself wasn't so profound until you really stopped and thought about it. But the story he gave stuck in my mind forever. And here's the story. He said he was asked to give the Youth Day sermon. He was in his high school library now. Wasn't at Harvard or Yale, high school library, looking on the shelves, and he saw a book, and the name of the book was "The Most Important Question You Can Ask Yourself That Will Change Your Life Forever." Now, what do you think that question was? He opened up the book, and the question was, the most important question that you can ask yourself that will change your life forever was, what is the wise thing to do? What is the wise thing to do? That sounded okay, but not especially profound until he gave this example. He said he was 9 or 10 years old, and he was at a big swimming pool, and all the kids were swimming and splashing around the water, and boys that age horse around, they're going, "Check in," and splashing each other. And there was a high dive, and they were saying, "Jump, jump," and they'd laugh as everybody jumped in. So it was this young man's turn, and he climbed up the high dive. And when he got to the top, he looked down, and there was one catch. You know what that catch was? He was laughing until he realized, and he looked down, that he didn't know how to swim. And so everybody on the sidelines were saying, "Jump, jump, chicken," laughing and laughing. He was looking at them, and he was looking at the board, looking up and looking down, and he realized, I don't know what I should do. What do you think he did? All right, half of you are right, half of you are wrong. Here's what he did. He jumped. And he jumped, and not only did he jump, he almost drowned. And the lifeguard had to pull him out sputtering, and he almost didn't make it. And he was choking, trying to open his eyes and get the water out of his mouth. If he'd asked himself the question, what is the wise thing to do, he would not have jumped. And to me, this was a powerful commentary on life. All around us, there are people giving opinions, telling us what we should do, what we shouldn't do. We have concerns about how we'll be seen, what people think about what we do. But if we stop and pause and ask ourselves, what is the wise thing to do, you'll have every answer within you every time, every day, if you only stop and pause and ask yourself that important question. The next question I want to share with you is really a two-part question. It was a lesson I learned when I was in high school. And I worked at my father's junkyard. He called it a dealership, but it was really a junkyard. But I was very proud of my parents and their hard work ethic. So every summer I'd go work at this junkyard car dealership to make extra money and to help them. And we had a ledger, which was really a spiral notebook. That was pre-computer days. And every day we'd go in and we'd write a line down the center. It would be paid in and taken out. How much money they paid in and how much they paid out. And my father one day, I said, "Oh, Dad," he had a lot of money in his pocket. He said, "Boy, you got a lot of money." You know what he said to me? He says, "It is not how much money you make, it's what you keep that makes a difference." And I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful. We have choices in our lives. And it wasn't until later on in life I really appreciated the magnitude and the power of that statement. So many times in life, we do things that give to other people, give constantly to our careers, to our families, to our spouses, to our friends, to our church, to the point where there is nothing left. And I've come to realize that if we stop and ask ourselves the question, and is what I'm doing, is it restorative? Am I paying into myself? Or is it depleting? Am I emptying out my reserves so that I had nothing left? And I think if we stop and ask ourselves those questions, that can change every day of your life if you stop and pause. What is the wise thing to do? And also, is what I'm doing restorative? Am I adding to my life? Or am I depleting it? Am I emptying it out? One night I had a dream and it was so powerful. And in this dream, I was riding a bicycle. And I was just pumping so hard. And I had this big tow rope. And in this tow rope, I was pulling a car. And in this car was my husband, as helpful, as independent as he is, my 3 kids, and a host of other people. And I was pumping, riding this bike across this bridge. And as I got to the bridge, I just couldn't go anymore. I made it down to the bridge and my bike wouldn't go. And everybody was sitting in the car looking at me. And I looked down at the bike and I had a flat tire. And I said to my husband, Bob, who can fix everything and always does in my life, I said, "Bob, I got a flat tire. I can't pull anybody anymore." You know what he said to me? "That is your flat tire and only you can fix it." I said, okay, I got it. In life, we all go through transitions and changes, and it can be a really exciting time. As one door closes, another opens, but it takes courage and strength to walk through it. And sometimes it's easier to pause and do nothing. Sometimes it's easier to look at everybody else and cause them as to be the blame or excuse for moving or not moving forward in our life. Or sometimes we can just put our hands in God's and say, "I believe with you that all things are possible if I can keep pressing through." So today I want to invite you to join with me on a journey. And what we're going to do is we're going to review all these theories that I've read about and studied about, the humble lessons I've learned in my 32 plus years of psychiatric practice, and humble life lessons I've learned through my own life experiences as a wife and mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, what we can do to keep our flow and help ourselves continue to move forward. Because here's the reality of it all. Even though none of our lives are perfect, each day is a gift. Sometimes the only thing we can do is realize that we have this gift of breath. That may be the only gift that we have, and we begin again. And I'm going to close with 3 pillars that I always stand on when you feel stuck and stagnant and you've lost your flow. Number 1, remember your past victories. Stop and remember the miracles, the blessings, that core strength that has pushed you through when you couldn't make it. It is still within you. Number 2, practice that gift of self-compassion. Instead of beating yourself up and giving yourself 50 lashes for a mistake, treat yourself with the same respect and kindness and tender love that you give to others that you care about. And number 3, look at life. Look around you and pause with gratitude. And keep your focus shifted on what is versus what isn't. And I'm going to close today with the words of Max Lucado in a lovely book he wrote about anxiety. And here's were the words that he wrote. Today, I will live today. Yesterday has passed. Tomorrow is not yet. I am left with today. So today, I will live today to its fullest. So my question to you as I close, how is your flow? And what we're going to do is see what we can do to help each other flow forward, to have courage to push through obstacles together, to see what works and what doesn't work. We're going to build a toolkit of strategies to empower you to reach the highest version of yourself, as Oprah and Rachel Hollis say, to live your best life today to the fullest. And those 3 questions that can change each day and the outcome of each day for the rest of your life are: number 1, when you don't know what to do, stop and pause and say, what is the wise thing to do? And do it. You often may not like the answer, but you always will know. The second question is what I'm doing restorative? Is it lifting me up or building it? Or is it depleting me? Is it tearing you down? My dear friends, I wish you kindness. I wish you joy. And if I were with you as I give my patients every day, I give you a warm hug and say, stay encouraged and move forward. Be kind to yourself and always know with God, all things are possible. Until we meet again, my friends, blessings. Bye-bye.